Right now, AI is recommending your competitors. And it's not because they're better at what you do than you are. The reason AI is recommending your competitors is because your competitor has built their brand to satisfy the AI model structure. And what we want to do in the development of Brand Crew AI is solve the big problem. How do you and I actually get set up on AI so that our brands show up the way that they need to show up so that we can make sales, we can have influence, we can capture body of content, whatever it is that we're building. So today I'm going to walk you through basically what we've built so far, and to fix the issue of right now, I don't show up any place on AI, and why the window to get in on this is closing. So at the end, if you're not already in our founder group, I will give you a link where you can actually get your name on a list, and we'll send you an application to see if you are a good fit. So what's the problem? So why did we build this? So basically, for any of you out there, just ask yourself this question. Do you have a brand that you're working on, or a body of content, or something, even a ministry or philanthropy that you're building, and you've got all of your stuff, kind of your AI projects all over your desk? You know, ChatGPT has projects. Claude has, great memory. Claude Cowork can do things for you. Perplexity is great at research. But right now, that AI is taking your time and your effort, and it's not actually giving you a return on your investment. There's no actual ROI. You're basically paying out to the AI models, and there's no money coming in. And for me, one of the reasons I built this is because we have a family of brands, some bigger, some smaller. But each one of those brands needs to be able to be discovered on AI, whether it's a simple short-term rental property, whether it is an investment real estate portfolio, whether it is my holiday decorating, coaching and consulting brand, whatever it is that you're working on. And so I built this because I had a $19,000 line item in 2025 that was tied to labor that didn't actually bring us a return on investment. And so when I looked at that line item, I thought there has to be a better way. And so I, like many of you probably, I dug super deep into AI models. I'm like, I love this stuff. But next thing you know, I got like 50 subscriptions to all of these different random AI models, and I'm still the one piecing them together. And I'm like, this is not going to work. So I want to show you what we shipped this week in Brand Crew AI. And in order to do that, basically every week we're going to go live and we're going to unpack for you the different features, what worked, what didn't, what we're building out, kind of what we're betting on, to use ShapeUp's language, and like what's coming next. So let's go ahead and dive into, I'm going to share my screen and show you what we have built so far, what we have been working on. So if you aren't already on the Brand Crew AI wait list, I want to drop a link for you right here. You can go ahead and sign up for the link in the wait list. And if you are a good fit, we'll actually send you an application. So basically the core problem is you're not showing up when people ask Perplexity, Gemini, Google Copilot, all of them. And I want to just give you a concrete example from what we're building and why we're building it from our in-person mastermind recently. So we have a group of clients who are doing multiple seven figures right now. And many of those businesses are built on what we would call relational equity, relational capital. And so a lot of business transacts through relationships or through text. Many businesses have revenue, but they don't even have websites. And one of the things that I demonstrated in the room at the mastermind was I took one of our clients who they have a fabulous product. They are in the physical product space, and they basically supply other businesses. Lots of relationships, like I said, built on relational equity, relational capital. Let me know if you are in that space where you have a business that's basically built on relationships, and it doesn't, like, you're like, oh, I don't actually need to worry about AI. Well, what we demonstrated in the room is we typed in a search item into ChatGPT. And what happened was a competitor showed up with a product to purchase immediately. And the person, the business, the brand with the superior product, with deeper history, true insider access, never even got a shot. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about this, is because the way the search mechanisms have changed, it literally has just changed the game for businesses. So what did we ship this week? What's the feature? What is the thing that it solves? What's the problem that it solves? So right now you're looking at the overarching dashboard. And one of the first things that we changed and shipped this week was the whole structure of the top level navigation of the dashboard. So right now we consolidated the top level menu into 3 different things. The brand, so the brand that you build, and I'm going to unpack this first. The second, the agents that you can currently access at the founder level. And then the integrations tab, different things that you can connect your agents and your brand to. So let's talk about the brand for a minute, because within the context of a brand, there are 3 pillars that we noticed when you are working with AI and attempting to get discovered in AI search. The first is you have to have a voice that has a deep enough, I'm going to use some woo language, but it has to have a deep enough energy. It has to have a deep enough resonance in truth that you create what in the industry we call a moat around your brand. Now, if you don't take the time to develop a brand voice and generate iterations, you can consistently iterate on it. What happens is you get lost in what they call AI slop, because AI as these large models basically consolidates to the lowest level. And so one of the reasons that we reorganized this was to really emphasize the fact that your moat, the thing that separates you from all your competitors, is your willingness to embrace reality. Okay. If you're watching on our Zoom, we have a couple of our founding members in the room with us right now. You actually have to embrace reality, because if you're not real, then everything else can kind of be duplicated. So your brand voice is where you really get to share and showcase, and I'll just take you into the brand voice, everything about your brand. And we developed this to take some time. What we built here is a tool for real founders, real businesses that want to make a real difference. You're not just interested in like a Band-Aid quick fix. You're not just going after a $500,000 win. You're going after a $10 million win, a $20 million win, a $100 million win. And so in order to do that, we actually have to build differently. So the first thing you want to do is you want to understand that whatever you build here, if you're already working with other stuff, you can literally download a markdown document and upload it to whatever else you need to share it with. You can also download it as a PDF. We do team meeting briefings, and that's why I changed these 2 things, because I'm like, we actually need to be able to solve the problem of, hey, this is what our brand voice looks like. I'm going to download a beautiful picture of it. And then I'm going to be able to sit down with my family, my board, my team members, and say, this is what our brand voice currently sounds like. What do you guys think? So that was one of the things that we added to solve that problem. The second thing is the download of the markdown document. Now, if you're not familiar with what a markdown document is, a markdown document basically makes it super fast for AI to read. So the PDF is pretty, it's for the team, it's for the vision casting, it's to make edits on, it's really nice, it's really pretty to look at, right? The markdown document is stripped of all of that beauty, and you can upload it very swiftly to any other AI that you might also be working with. Now, the third thing is very important. A very front and center button that indicates you can save your progress on getting your brand voice locked. All right. Now, save progress. If you look here, profile strength on one of the sample brands that we are building, like right now, our founders can build basically up to 5 different brands with 4 different iterations. So a lot of brands, a lot of different properties. So you can literally click on add a new brand, and I'll type in the grounding path. That's one of our brands. It's a meditation brand. And I'll just click create brand. Okay. So what happens then is you would come through this cycle and you would create a brand new brand. Now, I'm on a test account right now, so I can't actually access that. But if you are in the founder level, you would be able to create a new brand. So basically you start and you go through on the dashboard, who's the face of your brand? And you could upload an image. You can come up with a tagline. Is it a main site? Is it a media site? Is it an e-commerce site? Is it another type? Is it a membership? Is it a podcast? And all of these things have deep intelligences connected to them, so that when you're coming up with your brand voice, obviously a brand voice for your brand that's e-com is going to look very different from a brand voice if you're building it out straight for a media site, right? A media site is going to want to be sorted by other things. You're going to want to have build the audience a little differently, versus an e-com is going to be optimized for sales conversion. Okay. So when we were building this out, these were all the questions that we used to have to labor over. And there was never any place where my entire team could access the brand voice, and we could have meetings on it, we could iterate, and we could make changes on it. Now, what we did here was, if you go back to your dashboard, you can actually add team members. So at the founder level, you can add up to 4 different team members to participate in the building out of the brand. They will have their own login, but they will also get access to the brand, right? And so right now, when you apply, and then if you're accepted at the founder level, before we release publicly, you would actually get up to 4 team members. So think about how helpful that would be. That was one of the problems that I kept coming back to as we were building out our brands. It's like I needed one central dashboard where everybody could feed into the voice and everything that needed to happen, and so we could get agreement on it. And then you can save progress. Let me show you what else needs to happen. So the voice and the story. Now, we have had some of our founding members take this precise dashboard, and because they have so much work already done, they have a Claude cowork set up, or they have even an agentic agent set up in another platform, they were basically able to say to their agentic agent or Claude cowork, hey, take a look at this dashboard and fill it out for me based on the best information that you have about our brand. So think about that for a minute. So one of our beta testers is a SaaS founder. And so that client was able to actually put their own agentic agent on this. And it was like, oh my gosh, this changed the game for us. Because once you are able to fill out your brand voice, and don't get stressed if you don't have an answer, do things like this. I don't have an answer. This is a new brand for us. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. So you need to actually go through and, just understand that you've got to start somewhere with your brand voice, because right now, one of the reasons you're not being recommended on the AI models is you don't have an entity or a brand structure that is readable consistently across all of the platforms to reinforce you even showing up in the feed. And so this brand voice lock is literally one of the foundation pillars. So from this place, you're able to save progress. Now, again, what did we ship this week? So we literally changed this top dashboard to drive home the importance of getting the brand voice locked and the process of doing that. Again, if you're in the process, get it to a certain place, download the PDF, print out the PDF, take it to your team, take it to yourself, take it to, a group of people and say, hey, help me understand this, help me make some decisions on this, and your progress is saved. From there, then we must run what's called a brand intelligence report. Now, what problem does this solve? So we put this before multiple 8-figure entrepreneurs, and they basically said, this section alone, we pay upwards of $900 to $2,000 a month to get 4 of these run on just one brand. Now, what's really cool about our founder access, and you do have to apply, you do have to qualify to get in at a founder rate, is you're able to basically build out your brand voice, pick which brand you want to run, and then you run a brand intelligence report on that. And this basically goes out at a developer level, and it coalesces from all of the different AI models. It also delivers unto you a printout of keywords that you're missing, schema structures that you're missing, gaps in the market, competitor analysis. It gives you an actual numerical score between 0 and 100. And can I just tell you, friend, it is a brutal report. So we have had, like I said, we've had 8-figure entrepreneurs currently doing 8 figures, and their brand intelligence report, when it ran, came out in the 40s out of 100. And they were like, this is awesome. I love it. Tell me more. Why? Because right now there's this crossing over of Google search and the way search is happening versus the way AI is coming in and conducting searches and providing answers. And so we really want to get ahead of this, even if, like, I'll just share with you, one of our brands is a short-term rental brand. It's a ski cabin in Lake Tahoe, and it's not a big brand. It's just something that we have. But in order for that to be monetized, it actually has to show up on search, especially in the age of AI, because the market segment that we're going after is a highly technical San Francisco Bay Area. Like they're super tech savvy. And so they're looking for things to be confirmed on AI. So building this process out so that your brand, even if it's small, even if your revenue is, $50,000 to $250,000, getting your brand to show up in things like Google AI overviews, getting your brand to show up in ChatGPT recommendations. It's a game changer. So that's the second thing we shipped this week, is the brand intelligence report. The third thing is the brand identity studio. Now, once you have your brand voice locked, once you have run your first or your second or your 50th brand intelligence report to see how you're showing up and how things are changing for you, we also wanted to be able to have a way to pull from these AI, to pull from these different things to say, hey, here's your current logo. So you basically would upload your current logo, and this is really what we're going for. What would you suggest that we change to help increase our ranking or increase our ability to show up in these AI search models? Why is this important? A lot of times we get stuck on a brand. We get stuck on something that doesn't actually move the market. It just becomes, like I said, just kind of boring, or to use an industry term, it becomes like AI slop. And so what we wanted to do was to be able to have a way to help you regenerate based on your results, based on any new changes to your brand voice. And I'm not saying you need to change your logo every 3 months, 6 months, or even every year, but in the same way that you stay up to date on styles, you want to make sure that if a slight color change is going to help you, right? I mean, we're not talking Nike here. We're talking about a brand that, maybe a slight color change could move you from, $50,000 to $100,000 a year. You just want to make sure that you are aware of what's happening in your market. And then if you need to regenerate, you can. And so what happens is you would upload a logo, you would put in some existing brand colors and what kind of mood or feel, and then you would just click generate brand identity. So again, our founders have unlimited regenerate opportunities. So if they're in a team meeting and they've got their brand voice printed out, they can change it as many times as they want. You have run an intelligence report, you can run as much intelligence as you want. You can find out where you sit, what the schema that's showing up for your industry is. And then next, you can really play around with your brand identity. And again, you can run this as many times as you want. There is literally no limit on this for our founders. So if you don't like something, you can say, hey, why don't you go ahead and regenerate this for me? Change this, change this, change this, right? So again, what did we ship this week and why is it important? One of the things that we found is when clients come back in, we want to make sure that they have their team members in the same space. So you can see who your team members are. You can revoke access at any time. And you just basically put their email in, and then you'll get a link to invite them to your brand. The second thing is we really wanted to focus in on the brand voice, the intelligence, and the visibility. If you're on with me on the live Zoom, just write that in the chat right now, because without the voice, the intelligence, and the identity, the agents that we put to work with the integrations that we have to work don't actually know how to differentiate you. I'm going to go back, just face the camera for a second. They don't actually know how to differentiate you from the rest of the industry. So one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is your voice, your stories, your family business stories, your experience in an overseas ministry, all of those experiences, AI is desperately searching for. And if we don't take those experiences and then categorize them into what we call appropriate schema, then it's like your experiences are just like in a messy closet, right? And we don't want messy closets. So what we want to do is, I know, we want to take all of that and we want to capture it and then organize it. So one of the things that in this structure that, let me go ahead and share the screen again, I'll just share with you, is there's this concept in organizing your data. It can be like a data lake, or it can be like a data warehouse. Now, if all of your stories and all of that kind of stuff is just thrown into a data lake, then it's kind of hard to find it when you need it. So what this trinity here does, the voice, the intelligence report, and the identity, is it takes all of that data, it takes all of those stories, it takes all of that, and it organizes it into a nice warehouse for you. So that the next problem we solved is when you want to write some content or you want to create some emails, let's just go to Vivian, our email writer. When you want to write your first 5 emails or do a quick nurture sequence or do a launch sequence or a re-engagement or write your 14 core emails, or you want to have a newsletter, a weekly newsletter, a monthly newsletter, whatever it is, you want to make sure that without this organized data structure, Vivian is trying to hunt and pull things from all over the space. And so that's why one of the biggest changes that we made this particular week was getting this top line dashboard. Like, look, the voice, the intelligence, and the identity, which you can regenerate at any given time. You can print it out. You can take it to your team. You can download it to your computer. You can actually kind of play around with it. Then when you want someone to, let's just go to monthly newsletter, and you want to tell Vivian about your brand, you can literally organize, well, it's a monthly newsletter, so we're going to have this lead magnet, we're going to have this core offer name, we're going to have some call to action text, we're going to have a URL or a domain for an offer, and then anything else you want to say, and then she literally writes the emails for you. And so without the massive amount of organization, then it's like she can't actually pull on that. Now, what's interesting is right now I'm doing a test account for a brand that isn't completely built out. So I just want to show you that. There we go. Okay, so here we go. This is a monthly newsletter and it's just being written. Okay, so email number 2, the authority story. So it's pulling from everything within your dashboard. So it's not just like this generic ChatGPT. It's not just connected like to a ChatGPT project or a Claude project or something like that. What's happening here on the screen, I'm going to click out and it's going to go away because I'm not going to save this right now because this is a fake brand just for demonstration, is it's actually pulling from the specific things in your voice, okay? It can be pulling from the false solution. It could be pulling from an internal enemy. That's why this process is so important, because once you've got it codified once, once you have it structured once, then you can actually set your agents to work. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about, so that's what we really focused on this week, is getting the dashboard redesigned, making sure that you can invite your team members, get them set up, reorganizing it to really emphasize the structure of, you do your brand voice, you run an intelligence report, and you run an identity refresh. And you can play around with that so that when you start to deploy Blake or Vivian, or you start to make other integrations with your dashboard, that they actually have a deep data warehouse to pull on, not just a messy closet data lake to pull on. All right. So what are we focusing on next? There is a series of connections in the integrations that we are focusing on next. So right now, the top integrations that we want to provide you with access for are obviously payment gateways so that you can get paid. So things like Stripe. So being able to connect with Stripe, being able to connect with an email provider. My preference is ActiveCampaign. It's a really nice, robust service that is a standalone service. So it's not kind of melded into one of these all-inclusive platforms. You know, I always think in terms of when you're building for $1 million, an all-inclusive platform is fine. But when you're building for $10 million, $25 million, $100 million, you actually need to think in terms of building with really strong foundations. And if you're not ready for something like Salesforce or a super robust CRM or way to manage customer workflows, ActiveCampaign is a really solid, what I would call mid-tier solution. It's robust enough to get you started, and it can handle things. And because it's a standalone service that really focuses on emails and texts and things like that, it's less likely, you know, in those, when you have an airplane, right? You want 2 wings and 4 engines, right? So if one engine goes out, you're going to be fine. So in the same way, that's one of the reasons I like ActiveCampaign. So some of the first integrations that we are working on this week are ActiveCampaign, Stripe, Twilio, which is a developer level text piece, which is fabulous because you can actually have a setup on your blog, which we'll get to in a second, where you publish a WordPress blog or you publish a YouTube, and it can be connected so that if somebody makes a comment, you can actually reply with a text. And so that's what we're working on this week, is actually getting those developer level connections built. Now, along those lines, I just kind of want to show you so that you know what's happening. I'm going to go see if I can draw on a whiteboard here so I can show you. Let's see. Stop sharing, and I'm going to go to a whiteboard because I want to actually show you what's happening kind of underneath the surface here. Because it's very interesting that the difference between building this out to handle, like we have 7 brands that we are currently using this for. And so we're pushing the pedal to the metal a little bit and trying to basically break as much as we can so that we know how to get this structured. So there are basically 3 different tech stacks. And like I said, what we're building out this week is so that you can get your email connected, your payment gateways connected, your texting connected, if you want to use a service like Twilio, especially if you're texting at scale. Twilio is one of the most cost-effective ways to do that. And then your Word and your YouTube account. Okay. So with those basic connections, you can start to run your content machine. And can I give you some good news about this? Because just this past week, we were able to do nothing but leverage the WordPress connection. And one of the brands has started to show up in Google AI overviews. Only because we leveraged the WordPress connection with the proper schema and the proper entity structure. We're not running ads. We're not doing any social media. There is no YouTube account. There is barely an email list. But because we were able to structure the content on the blog in such a way that AI models love it, when someone is searching for something that is adjacent, it shows up in Google AI overviews. So that is a massive win. And that solves a really big problem because otherwise nobody knows. So along those lines, we have 3 different tech stacks. We have the tech stack that you see when you look at brand.com, which is just the front page where you can sign up for the wait list. We have the tech stack, which is your user interface. So the one that I've got 2 founders on with us right now, where this is their user interface, right? It's, does the speech thing work? So we have a bug on the speech thing. So the speech thing has been, we put in a request to get that fixed. My team in the Philippines and my team, I'm actually here in Nashville right now. So my team in these different places is working on getting the bugs fixed there. But what we really want to focus on for the tech stack for this week is getting the integrations at this level. So they are a developer level below the hood, if you will. I want you to think of a super fast, robust car versus a bicycle. A bicycle doesn't have much under the hood. There isn't really a hood unless it's an e-bike. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that when you go to create a blog post and you push it to your WordPress and you want to embed a call to action, or you want to embed a product in there or something for people to engage in, that happens whip it fast. And it can happen at scale, whip it fast. So that's what we have been focusing on, and what we actually have on what we'll call the hit list, if you will, which is probably not a great word, but it's the truth. It's like, what's our top priority this next week? And that is getting those integrations to a place where our founders can come in, they click one thing, a window pops open, they log in, their account is connected, and that's it. It's like right there. And so all of a sudden, you're also able to push content to social media accounts. You're able to have content immediately generated based on your brand voice. So that's what we're focusing on this week. One thing I want to share with you, and I'm going to go ahead and close the board. I want to make sure I close the whiteboard. I want to not close the meeting, close the whiteboard. One of the things that's been really hard this week in the development process is understanding the different technical requirements for different integrations. Okay, so think about this for a minute. Your payment gateways require a different technical level and a different security level than if you just want to have your social media accounts connected, you want to have AI pull and generate social media content and then get it scheduled, right? Two totally different things. And so our team it's like, okay, this is the priority. Let's get people able to have their content have a payment link that works, right? So you put out a blog post, you want to be able to include a URL that goes to a page where somebody can buy a specific product or make a donation, right? Someone can actually execute a transaction. That's a very high priority. The second piece is getting discovered on these AI models. One of the reasons we tested WordPress, which many people would think, oh, that's just an old platform. But the truth is, blogs are one of the best ways to get discovered if, and this is an important if behind the blog in the code are what are called schema structures, and it's a specific block of code, and it's a specific structure of how your person, your place, your entity, your organization is listed. And so prioritizing those two arms, if you will, has been hard, because it seems like we're working on this and then we got to work on this. And I'm like, absolutely. And they both need to be done yesterday. And then if you like to tinker and stuff like this, you get in and you're like, I'm helping. And that helping isn't always helping. So one of the things that I want to hear from you guys, and like I said, we have two founders on with us right now, is what are some of the things that you would like to see besides specific bugs fixed? Like if you're thinking about integrations where I got my brand voice locked, I ran my intelligence report, I know that I need to do this, this, and this. What integrations would be a blessing for you? What are your top priorities? So you can go ahead and unmute. We've got, whoever wants to do that, because this is what we're doing. Like, this is it. So who would like to go first? What do you want to see? Besides, you want to build it with me. Marilyn,
I think you have the four things you just mentioned, or three things. Whereas the integration list, I just lost it. ActiveCampaign, Stripe, YouTube, and the texting thing, Twilio, which I have that used. Those are fantastic. And the other thing is being specific about the WordPress site, which is not a connecting thing like looking at your integrations list here, but knowing how to make that the correct way.
Gotcha. Oh, that's a good one.
Yes. Because I've got a domain, this .com domain, but when you go to create WordPress, I know it's good to have .org, but does your name, is it better to have MarylynMonaghan.org then? Because I'm going to go into WordPress and I mean, I don't understand those things. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And that's actually a great question. So can we give it up for Marilyn on that? Because that structure is literally why we were able to have one of our brands show up in Google AI overviews, because we were able to build it out on WordPress the proper way. So what I just wrote down on that is have a short tutorial video on this is how you build it, this is the structure that you use, and then this is how you connect it. Because you can, that's just a fabulous question, and not to take too much time on it, but just a simple understanding. You can connect WordPress on a top layer, or you can connect it on a developer layer. And they both have different properties. So we'll make sure and unpack that inside of a short tutorial for you. Great question. Yeah, awesome. All right, Jill, what do you want to see?
I don't know if I have as much of an understanding of it as like she does and stuff, but frequently asked questions, I don't know where that'll fit in, but that's, I think, like one of the probably sooner things that I would be interested in. And then dreaming big, it would be so cool to, and I don't even know if that's part of this kind of thing, is, boy, if you could have your product on your, put in your brand and all your things, and then you could show, a way that they could put in a competitor's product and your product and see how much better yours is, like play around, like some way to integrate so that a customer could actually play around with seeing, not giving away all your technical secrets or but to actually see, this much smoother this or this, just visually. So yeah, if I was just, those are the two things.
I love that. Let me say this back to you because I think that's really important. So first is the FAQs. So FAQs are structured, and AI loves FAQs. So being able to have that generated so that you can have that pushed to your blogs and your social medias and all of that kind of stuff. That's a great one. The second one is like a side-by-side comparison of your product with a competitor's product, and have it pull. So if someone was, let's say you were writing a blog post for your brand, and you could have the content in the blog post basically pull from your competitor analysis and say, hey, we provide, I'll just use coffee. We provide this kind of coffee, which is all natural, no this, no that, no nothing. And it tastes like dark chocolate, and it's amazing. And it's calorie free, and you get energy, but there's no caffeine, and it actually makes you superwoman, versus this coffee, which is our competitor's coffee, which is really bad for you. I mean, obviously not that direct, but the concept being that you could actually generate content that was a side-by-side comparison without being denigrating. Yeah, no, I really like that. All right, so I will take those suggestions back to the team for this week. Yes, Marilyn, another one.
Well, the one thing I did this past week is I generated 35 questions, frequently asked questions. And so I've got these 35 questions, but like, where would that sit?
Great question. So one of the places that you would start with that is, let me go back to the screen. You could literally go into your agent, start with Blake, and type in the first question. So write a blog about one of the frequently FA that we got, and then just type it in. Type in the frequently asked questions. And then what happens in this process right here is that this agent is literally pulling from, now this may not pull anything because obviously it's a test and I didn't actually give it a topic, but it's pulling from all of these deep AI models to ask you specific questions. So what's the most surprising or counterintuitive answer you've discovered to one of the FAQs in your field? So it will give you questions that you want to answer, and then you can include your target audience, all that, and then it would submit and write the article for you. So that's where I would start with your FAQs, Marilyn.
Okay.
Because every single one of your FAQs should be simultaneously an FAQ, and it'll be structured as schema FAQ. And it should simultaneously be a content piece, and it will be structured schematically as a content piece that is also tied to your entity or your brand, just like your FAQs are. And then it can simultaneously be pushed to social media content, structured the same way. And so now all of a sudden, the AI models are pinging off of the structure that you have developed and built all around those 35 frequently asked questions.
So you do it one at a time.
So let's see if we can figure out how to upload a batch and have it generate 35 blog posts. Do you see what I'm saying?
That would be awesome.
Awesome. So let's see if we can figure out how to batch. My team is going to love me. Hi, guys. We're going to batch content, which is why this whiteboard here, where I talk about, let me just show you guys, and then we'll wrap on here, why this whiteboard of this tech stack, this part right here, this integrations, this is where the real meat of the matter is. It's all of the things that happen down here so that the connections and the structures don't break, because the code for this, the code structure, type, and usage for the interface is different than the type for the application and the waitlist. And this one, the integrations developer level, this is where the real meat of the matter. This is where the guys are working pretty much around the clock to get all these things handled, you know, as deeply and as robustly as possible. So I love that. So this is what I have so far. So how to make the WordPress site comprehensible so that you know how to connect it on what level in terms of integrations, frequently asked questions, how to batch upload frequently asked questions and turn them into blog posts, how to get side-by-side comparisons, right? Awesome. And the speech bug. The speech button right now works on a cell phone. It doesn't work on the laptop. So on the user interface, we need to make sure and get that one fixed. All right. So that's this week. This is what we're going to be doing for the next 8 weeks, is just literally spending, 30 to 45 minutes together every week where I can unpack with you the problems that we're seeing, what we shipped this week, what we built out, what we're focusing on next, and then, where it's been hard, what we're having issues with, and then what you guys want to see. And I'll just say this, if you are not a founder yet, and you would like to get in on the ground floor, everything that you just watched, everything that we've just unpacked is available only to our founders. And in order to get in the room as a founder, you'll need to get on the wait list, and then we'll send you an application to see if you're a good fit, so that we can really build this out to work for people who are working on brands that have, you're a real family business. You're a real bunny. You're a real personal brand. And that's why I built it, to solve the $19,367.92 problem. So I just want to say welcome to that. I'm just making sure I cover the notes. We're still in founder access, and I will drop the link below this for anyone who isn't here. Jill and or Mariyn, do you want to say anything to our crop of potential people?
It pays to decide quickly.
Very, very wise move. I love it, Jill. Awesome.
I would say get in now.
Right? Get in now. Because you get multiple brands, multiple properties, and you get to actually help our development team move in the direction of things that you want to be able to see, so that it works for you. It buys back your time. It buys back your life. Yeah. Go ahead, Jill.
And you don't have to be a tech genius. I mean, you really don't. I mean, I feel remedial in some things, and it's, yeah.
Love that.
And even if you were a tech genius, you can't be a genius about everything. You can't. There's no way you can understand the thinking of a billion people who are making techie stuff. You can't. So you need some help.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you for being with us on this week's call. We'll make sure you guys have the replay, and we'll see you. We'll drop the link in the chat. All right. Bye-bye.